I remember the days leading up to my 50th birthday as being filled with an unusual energy at home. My family was almost eerily spirited, dropping veiled hints and sharing secretive glances that heightened my curiosity. In retrospect, it was a clever ruse. My wife, Eleanor, and our kids seemed to be plotting something significant. There was a whisper of surprise in the air, enough to make any husband and father feel contentedly important. A surprise, they said. Something unlike any other birthday. But there's a strange feeling when things seem too good, a twinge in the corner of the heart suggesting not everything is as blissful as it appears. The irony was that their enthusiasm was almost theatrical, a script they were all too eager to play out, and yet a part of me couldn't shake off a strange disquiet. Little did I know this wasn't merely about a milestone birthday. It was an omen. My family's secrecy left a curious aftertaste, hinting toward something monumental, a revelation I was utterly unprepared for. Our protagonist begins to sense ripples of change within the usually steady waters of his domestic life. Eleanor, his wife, whom he's always admired for her transparency and forthrightness, seems to be cloaked in a quaint aura of secrecy. It starts subtly enough. A whispered phone call here, a hurriedly closed laptop screen there. Suddenly, her candid nature feels veiled, as though she is part of some inside joke to which he is not privy. His children, too, seem to tread this new and puzzling path. Their chatter around the dinner table, once candid and free-flowing, now carries a hint of guarded amusement, punctuated by secretive glances and half-formed smiles exchanged over treated with milder interest topics like school projects and weekend plans. It's as if they are conspiring, pooling their energies into some clandestine venture aimed at springing a big reveal. Yet, alongside this playful mischief, the familiarity of household routines sees a peculiar shift, adding layers to the inherent dynamics he has known so well. He reflects on these changes, indulging in speculation while cautioning himself against reading too deeply into their curious behavior. However, his curiosity is naturally piqued, prompting him to piece together the puzzle, hint by subtle hint. The usual hum of his family life is now underscored by a strange undercurrent that he cannot yet fully decode. These alterations in their demeanor spark a mix of anticipation and bewilderment in him, nudging the protagonist to prepare himself for whatever secretive endeavor they might be weaving. Amidst these observations, the love and dedication that he feels towards his family remain unwavering. Yet beneath his exterior of tranquility, there's a growing sense of irony that the usual frictionless operations of his household, the same dynamics he's ever worked to maintain, now house an enigmatic twist. As he watches his family with discerning eyes, he is left wondering what lies at the end of this unforeseen road they are, and perhaps he is, embarking upon. When reflecting on the financial strains faced by the protagonist, it's essential to understand the continuous effort he has been pouring into supporting his family. For years, he has juggled multiple responsibilities, ensuring that both his children and his wife, Eleanor, never felt the burden of financial insecurity. Despite the challenges, he proudly managed to maintain a roof over their heads, provide for education, and even allow for small luxuries whenever feasible. Yet beneath this facade of stability, the weight of sacrifices he made went almost unnoticed. There have been countless nights where he stayed up late reviewing accounts, paying bills, and planning future finances, all while dreams of his personal aspirations faded into the background. It's a silent testament to his dedication, a narrative of unselfish service that he hoped would strengthen the family's bond. The realities of financial constraints were something he navigated with resilience, crafting a life meant to shield his loved ones from worries he himself silently bore. However, unbeknownst to him, these sacrifices, meant to lay a foundation of security, had sparked a series of events that further added to his challenges, leading to a disconnect with his own family motives and understanding. On what was supposed to be an ordinary but important day for him, the protagonist returned home after a day at work, holding on to a sliver of hope that the surprise his family had hinted at might still manifest. The atmosphere of the house was as quiet as a calm sea before a storm, and an unfamiliar sense of stillness enveloped him. As he settled down with a simple dinner, He absent-mindedly scrolled through his son's social media feed, a routine he never thought would become his undoing. His heart skipped a beat as he stumbled upon photos that would change everything. There they were, his wife, Eleanor, and children, gallivanting across pristine beaches and enjoying a sun-drenched vacation, in stark contrast to his solitary evening at home. Shock seeped into his veins, freezing him in place. He inspected each photo meticulously, noting the beaming faces, the carefree gestures, and ultimately the glaring absence, his own. The reality hit him like a tidal wave, overturning his perceptions of happiness and family unity. How could they leave him out, especially today? A feeling of betrayal gnawed at his insides, and in that moment, the joyful celebrations captured in those images burned into his psyche, marking the beginning of an internal storm. He was at once overwhelmed by a tumult of emotions, hurt, disbelief, and a burgeoning sense of being unwanted. As the minutes ticked by, his emotions oscillated between anger and profound sadness. The betrayal felt like a night upending a once bright dawn, leaving him grappling in darkness, wondering why happiness seemed only a mirage within his grasp. Yet, even amidst the swirling chaos in his heart, a spark of determination flickered, whispering promises of answers he so desperately needed to uncover. As I sat at my desk, my heart felt heavier with each passing hour, trying to wrap my mind around how a day so anticipated could turn into such a shadow of isolation. Earlier, filled with hope, I'd scrolled through my son's social media, expecting to see perhaps a birthday greeting, a family gathering planned for later. Instead, I found myself staring at freshly posted pictures of my wife and children, laughing under the sun, on what was unmistakably a beach vacation. My immediate reaction was disbelief, my eyes scanning for a clue that I was missing, some piece of this jigsaw that explained why I wasn't there. But there was none. A deep, visceral pang of betrayal shot through me, replaced only by a numbing acceptance as more images loaded, each one a stab at the picture of family unity I'd curated for decades. How had I become an outsider in my own life's narrative? The joy they displayed was a bitter contrast to the silent solitude I felt, emphasizing the chasm that had quietly grown between us, one that I hadn't known I needed to bridge, until moments like this stripped away the veils and made undeniable the undercurrents of neglect in our family tapestry. It was supposed to be a remarkable day, the 50th birthday, a significant milestone in any man's life, filled with nostalgia, celebration, and joy. As the day began, he carried an air of expectancy, half hoping for a surprise orchestrated by his family. Yet, from the moment he stepped out of his house, the day unfolded like any other ordinary weekday. The crisp morning air did little to buoy his spirits as he walked to the bus stop, feeling the same routine weighing him down. At work, the humdrum of office noise surrounded him, a chorus of keyboard clicks and hushed conversations about mundane things, meetings, deadlines, spreadsheets. He tried to immerse himself in the tasks at hand, but his mind kept wandering back to his family. Had they forgotten? Was something brewing beneath the surface that he simply hadn't perceived yet? The clock ticked on, with no fanfare, no colleagues stopping by to wish him well, save for the perfunctory happy birthday message in a group chat that barely registered. Lunch was a quiet affair at his desk, a solitary sandwich as emails piled up in his inbox. He couldn't shake the feeling of emptiness that clung to him, a notion that something truly delightful was just beyond his reach, but mysteriously out of sight this year. As the day drew to a close, he ventured homeward, the sky tinged with hues of sunset. A familiar street, yet today it felt different, haunted by shadows of the unknown. His anticipation was now laced with disappointment and confusion, the big surprise remaining elusive, leaving him grappling with a sense of being overshadowed in his own life. As the protagonist wakes up to a disconcerting quiet in the house, he begins to suspect that something is amiss. Armed with a mix of curiosity and apprehension, he sets out to investigate his family's mysterious absence. The first place he turns to is the immaculately kept bank records, something he diligently oversees. Months of diligent budgeting and financial reports now seem shrouded in secrecy. Flipping through pages, he notices unusual transactions and unexplained withdrawals, none of which he recalls authorizing. The financial discrepancies fuel both his anxiety and resolve. Determined to uncover the truth, he turns to a more modern source of information: social media. With a few keystrokes, he lands on his son's profile. Scanning through recent posts, photos begin to unfurl a narrative he wasn't privy to. Lavish meals, smiling faces, and sun-drenched selfies from a tropical beach reveal a reality that stands in stark contrast to his quiet, solitary day at home. Every picture feels like another piece of a puzzle that points to a larger narrative of exclusion and deceit. His fingers tremble as he connects the dots between the unexpected financial anomalies and the glossy images of a vacation he never got to attend. It becomes painfully clear that the web of secrecy spun by his loved ones is more intricate than he ever imagined. Yet instead of succumbing to immediate despair, a quiet but fierce determination takes root within him, ready to confront the truths that have been hidden behind closed doors. The revelation was shocking. As he combed through the financial records, a clandestine account surfaced, a secret credit card boldly etched with Eleanor's name, hidden from view but now glaringly evident. The numbers were staggering, showcasing a mounting debt that spiraled beyond comfort. Each transaction felt like a piercing betrayal, a trail of expenditures unaccounted for in their plans. His trust strained under this crushing weight, the foundation of their partnership visibly cracking. How much had been hidden beneath the veneer of their everyday life? The debts loomed large, a testament to choices made without him. And with each line item, he felt the narrative unraveling, a stark contrast to the solidarity they once shared. His heart raced as realization dawned. He wasn't just cut out from a celebration, but also from decisions that shaped their future. The betrayal gnawed at him, yet amidst the swirling thoughts, he commenced plotting his path, a decisive shift unfolding from dismay to determination. As the protagonist stood amidst a storm of emotions, his heart was like a ticking clock, each tick a new wave of betrayal surging through him. The discovery of the secret credit card had been a catalyst, a revelation that cracked open the facade of his family's idyllic life. With each transaction, he saw a timeline of deceit and extravagance, each entry a reminder of the sacrifices he'd made. But where bitterness could have taken root, he found clarity. Instead of acting out of hurt, he meticulously planned his response, knowing this was a pivotal moment in his life. He understood that lashing out would only serve to widen the chasm between him and his family. In the quiet of his study, he laid out his strategy, choosing words with precision, crafting a conversation that would confront without condemnation. It was in this controlled silence, amidst papers and cold facts, that a new resolve was born. He realized that while betrayal had marked this path, he could either let it define him or use it as a stepping stone towards rebuilding trust. His approach would not be of anger, but of dialogue and understanding, setting the stage for a confrontation that could lead to healing rather than further splintering their family ties. As the family stood on the doorstep, a palpable tension hung in the air. Their return from what was supposed to be a joyous family vacation felt anything but celebratory. The protagonist, having just unlocked the door, paused, giving everyone time to absorb the weight of the moment. Eleanor, trying to mask her guilt, attempted a faint smile, but the coldness in the air was undeniable. The children shifted uncomfortably, aware that their actions had consequences far beyond their comprehension. The initial exchange of words was cautious and measured. Eleanor, searching for the right words, stumbled over the explanation she'd rehearsed during the long journey home. She started with an apology, but it was clear to everyone present that apologies alone could not rectify the deep sense of betrayal. "How could you?" the protagonist finally asked, not so much in accusation, but in genuine bewilderment and hurt. Eleanor tried to rationalize their actions, speaking of misunderstandings and mistaken intentions, but the truth was laid bare. They had all underestimated the damage wrought by their decisions. The family had long accepted certain comfortable lies, but now, standing on the precipice of a changed dynamic, they had to confront those unspoken truths. Each member realized that while they had strived for happiness, they'd overlooked the foundational respect and consideration for one another. That realization hung heavy, initiating a painful but necessary process of acknowledgement and understanding. As Eleanor and the children step inside, the The reality of their actions seeps in like a cold breeze, cutting through the warmth they had hoped for. The silence is thick with unspoken words and unvoiced regrets. You can feel their hesitance as they look from one another to the evidence laid bare around them. Bank statements, printed photos, reminders of a trip they believed was just for them. It's as if they're piecing together a puzzle, only to realize that the picture isn't what they had imagined. At that moment, the family comprehends that this isn't just about a missed birthday. It's about missed moments, emotions, and trust that needs mending. Eleanor tries to say something, but there's a pause, a reflection that displays their shared realization. They know now that beyond the immediate discomfort lies a deeper understanding of the hurt they've caused. It's clear that mending the rift will require more than just words. It will need actions that speak to their renewed commitment to each other. The anticipation was palpable as the family's car slowly pulled into the driveway after their unexpected vacation. Inside the house, silence enveloped the protagonist, but outside, the atmosphere was thick with unspoken tension. As his family stepped out, they were met with the unfamiliar sight of a locked door, a powerful metaphor for the emotional barriers that now stood between them. His wife, Eleanor, hesitated, standing frozen at the door, keys in hand, but unable to unlock the situation with a mere twist of the wrist. The children exchanged confused glances, their joy from the getaway already fading under the somber reality that awaited them. The protagonist, observing from a distance, felt a mix of emotions. He could almost hear the loud ticking of an unseen clock, marking the time running out on their unspoken understanding. As they stood there, the air was heavy with the weight of unaddressed truths and unmet expectations, and it became evident that this was more than just about a locked door. It was a crossroads for the family, a moment where everything could shift, depending on how they navigated this fragile bridge of communication they had left. Would they approach him with remorse? Would they apologize or demand an explanation? The answers lay just beyond that closed door, yet somehow felt infinitely out of reach. Despite the external coolness, the protagonist's heart raced, prepared, yet uncertain of how this pivotal confrontation would unfold. As the protagonist laid out the timeline and evidence before his family, a thick silence filled the room. Each piece of paper, meticulously organized, was a testament to the sacrifices and efforts he believed were shared. The family's reactions varied. Shock washed over Eleanor's face as she studied the documents, realizing the depth of her assumption about their financial situation. The children showed a mixture of shame and disbelief, their youthful eyes slowly onboarding the wealth of reality before them. Gradually, the truth began to act as a mirror, reflecting back the disconnect that had grown over time, unnoticeable until this pivotal moment. Their rationalizations, initially voiced with attempts of justification, quickly faltered in the face of undeniable facts. Attempting to articulate reasons, they confronted their part in the web of assumptions that had slowly burrowed into their family life, highlighting the fissures disguised as normalcy. Each sentence uttered added weight to the acknowledgement of their oversight, revealing how unspoken assumptions could silently build hurdles of misunderstanding. The room became a nexus of emotions as the family grappled with their actions, and it became clear that this was a turning point, a moment of revelation that could pave the way for powerful change. Amidst the silent pause that enveloped the room, an invisible weight settled over the family. Each member was lost in their thoughts, grappling with the full magnitude of what transpired. For the first time, the protagonist's family had to confront the harsh reality of their actions and the deep hurt they caused. It wasn't just a forgotten birthday. It was a revelation of neglected responsibilities and missed opportunities for connection. They all stood face to face with the raw evidence of their choices, and the parents, Eleanor and her husband, looked into each other's eyes, communication unspoken yet palpable. The children, too, lowered their gazes, realizing that their moment of escapism was stamped with the emotional price they didn't anticipate. Silence can be the loudest form of expression. It demands introspection. In that moment, a shared understanding flickered. The path to healing lay not just in apologies, but in acknowledging each other's perspectives and pain. The shift in dynamics was inevitable, Yet the potential for growth lingered silently, waiting for someone to take the first genuine step towards rebuilding trust and understanding. As the family uneasily settled into the living room, the air thick with tension and unspoken regret, the protagonist laid out his organized evidence on the coffee table. It was a sobering scene. Neatly stacked bank statements, printouts of emails revealing bookings, and a credit card bill, previously unknown. This visual timeline told a story of both financial strain and emotional neglect, painstakingly pieced together by a father who felt both betrayed and responsible. Every document, carefully highlighted, spoke of late nights and sacrifices made in silence, accompanied by the overwhelming realization that his love and dedication had been sidelined. At that moment, he found himself articulating these sacrifices, not in anger, but in a measured, calm voice. His family sat in a state of shock as he outlined every small financial contribution that went unnoticed, every emotional effort disregarded. It was a poignant display of the disconnect that had slowly formed, a gap widened by assumptions and failed communication. In exposing these realities, he invited everyone to truly see, perhaps for the first time, the fragility of their bonds and the dire need for genuine appreciation and understanding. In the days following the revelation, the family began experiencing a profound shift. Each member found themselves facing a mirror of their actions and pondering the impact on their shared life. The house, once filled with day-to-day chaos, now resonated with silent reflections, a stark reminder of the underlying issues that had been overlooked for too long. One by one, they started to piece together the fragmented trust between them, each realizing that assumptions had led to this rift. Conversations, tentative yet sincere, began to flower in this newfound space. Every word held the weight of unspoken apologies and the seeds of understanding. Eleanor, once preoccupied with managing appearances, took a moment to genuinely listen to her children, noticing their needs and fears anew. The children, on their part, learned to voice their thoughts, understanding the importance of communication. As for the protagonist, he embraced this opportunity to reestablish his role not just as a provider, but as a collaborative partner in the family's emotional landscape. Through small gestures of kindness, shared activities, and openness, they began to weave a more resilient fabric into their everyday lives. The road ahead was uncertain, but each step, however small, was a testament to their willingness to mend and grow. Embracing a newfound sense of self, the protagonist begins crafting a daily routine that embodies both purpose and fulfillment. It's a time of deep introspection, yet also of letting go. He starts his mornings with a rejuvenating walk, allowing the crisp air and dawn's light to invite fresh perspectives. In quiet moments of solitude, he springs forth energy once devoted to meeting external expectations into nurturing his own passions and interests. As the days pass, he finds solace in hobbies long ignored, rekindling a flair for painting that the hustle of life once overshadowed. His canvas, like his life, gradually brightens with each brushstroke, symbolizing new beginnings. Social connections, once solely centered around family, diversify as he engages with old friends and local community groups. This expansion fosters not just emotional resilience, but also a network of support that celebrates his individuality. Amidst this transformation, he remains grounded in the love for his family, but with a renewed understanding that his happiness also hinges on honoring his individuality. These rituals become a testament to his growth, signifying an invincible spirit that thrives not in isolation, but in harmonious coexistence with those he cherishes on his own terms. In the days following the revelation, the protagonist finds himself in a reflective state, processing not just the incident, but his entire journey up to now. Each morning begins with a quiet moment to collect his thoughts, a newfound ritual that brings him clarity and peace. He contemplates the sacrifices he's made and the roles he's played within the family, acknowledging both his contributions and the moments he may have overlooked. As he sips his coffee, he focuses on identifying what truly brings him joy and satisfaction. Leisurely walks become part of his day, giving him time to think about his next steps in life. This introspection marks the beginning of a significant transformation. While there's an undercurrent of sadness from the betrayal, there's also a flicker of liberation. neither tethered to expectations nor defined by others' perceptions. He starts setting firm boundaries, learning to prioritize his own needs without guilt, realizing that self-care is pivotal to being a supportive family member. His resolution strengthens, and he starts reconnecting with hobbies he had long set aside, reigniting passions that had once painted his life with color. Each step forward feels like reclaiming a part of himself. As he carves out time for solitude, these moments nurture not only his soul but plant seeds for personal growth, fueling his journey towards renewal. Rebuilding trust in a family torn by betrayal is a complex and emotional journey. The family members now face the arduous task of healing not just as a collective, but individually. Each member grapples with feelings of guilt, shame, and regret, intertwined with the hopes of mending shattered bonds. They begin by acknowledging the pain caused as they come to terms with their own roles in the debacle. The protagonist's wife, Eleanor, is torn between her sense of responsibility and her desires to restore harmony. She engages in introspection, recognizing the gaps in communication that led to this situation. With open and honest dialogues, she and the protagonist navigate through these emotions, striving to bridge the distance that has grown between them. For the children, the lesson is about learning from mistakes and understanding the weight of decisions. Open conversations are encouraged, allowing them to express their feelings and fears about the family's future. Together, they rediscover the importance of empathy and honesty, forging a path toward forgiveness. As trust is slowly rebuilt, they find solace in small acts of kindness and understanding, realizing that the road to recovery, while challenging, is possible with patience and genuine effort. In the quiet of the evening, I found myself sitting down with Eleanor, my wife, to talk about what had transpired and what it meant for our future. We were two people, once deeply connected, now sitting across from each other with an ocean of unspoken words and emotions between us. As I looked into her eyes, I could see a reflection of the hurt and confusion that mirrored my own. It was time for a heartfelt conversation, one that could either start the healing process or widen the rift further. I began by expressing my feelings of alienation and betrayal. I never imagined that for my 50th birthday, the man who's always been there for the family would find himself so alone, I admitted, my voice steady yet strained. Eleanor listened quietly, her eyes misting over as she took in my words. She explained that the vacation was supposed to be a surprise, an effort to show appreciation, but the execution had failed at some crucial points. We wanted to do something special. Turned out we got caught up trying to make it perfect and missed the point, she confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. There was sincerity in her tone, a genuine remorse that seemed to soften the edges of my anger. We delved into discussions about what trust means for each of us, how we had ended up drifting apart despite our best intentions. This moment felt pivotal, a crossroads where everything we had built teetered on the precipice of change. Mutual understanding didn't come easily. It was a step towards acknowledging that no one was entirely at fault, yet everyone bore some responsibility. With every word, every nod, we were slowly dismantling the barriers that alienated us, brick by brick. In that simple exchange, buried under the weight of past grievances, lay the seeds of potential reconciliation, planted one careful word at a time. Reflecting on this journey, the protagonist finds himself in a place of newfound clarity. He's learned that while family ties can be incredibly strong, they're also fragile, requiring care and attention to maintain. This past ordeal has shown him the importance of open communication and setting boundaries, not only to protect his own well-being, but also to foster healthier relationships. As he navigates this new chapter, he embraces his role as the guardian of his own happiness, acknowledging both the missteps and the breakthroughs that have brought him here. The family's unexpected surprise, though painful, has ultimately catalyzed a journey toward mutual understanding and resilience. This experience highlights a crucial lesson that through efforts of honesty and forgiveness, one can pave the way for healing and stronger connections. It's a reminder to viewers about the transformative power of perseverance, indicating that even the most trying family dynamics can guide us toward growth and solidarity.